Haleigh Hoefs is a rising junior at the University of Nebraska-Kearney. Before Kearney, she played at Chadron State in western Nebraska, where she became the softball team's first All-American after finishing the season with a batting average of .447 and setting a school record for slugging percentage at .837. In this interview, we talked about Haleigh's contagious energy and the best compliment you can get after a game, what Haleigh does before a game to feel confident on the field, transferring colleges and feeling the need to prove yourself, Haleigh's advice for younger players: establish connections and take all the lessons softball can give.
It's just like I always made sure that softball was like my safe space. I obviously, you don't have a whole bunch going through your head when you're like 13, 14, 15, 16. But at the same time, even if I did, I made sure that softball was the spot that I was focusing on. And obviously, like at the end of the day, like I love it so much. And so I always wanted to be able to show how much I loved it to like my teammates. I wanted to make sure that they were enjoying it as much as I was. And above all else, I also wanted to just be like fun to watch. That's like one of the biggest compliments that somebody can give me is if after like a game or something like that, somebody goes like, "You are a fun player to watch." That's a huge goal of mine. Not only just like to have a good time, but also I wanted to make a better name for the sport. I'm down to like my last 2 years playing the game. And so I'm thinking, more about like the legacy that I wanted to leave and all that stuff. And obviously I wanted to play the game the way it was meant to be played, but also, bring in new elements to it, and just kind of inspire other people to have that much fun and joy just come from playing the game.
You're smiling at pitchers, like when you're in the batter's box, you're clapping when you get on base, and just even the way you walk up to the plate. So I know part of that is natural, but if younger players want to be more like you and have more of that swagger, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I think at the time when I was doing more of those like obnoxious kind of things, smiling at the pitcher and stuff like that, it was due to the fact that it wasn't kind of natural, and I was just trying to really overcompensate and really sell it. One thing, when I was like 13 or 14, I read a book called The Mindset, and I can't remember who it's by. And it just talked about, how much mental preparation goes into sports performance. And I just really took that to heart. And I remember that I figured out that the best way for me to get prepared for a game and to be able to sell that I was confident in it was to try to eliminate as many unknown variables as I could. So it would be, if we were going to Kansas, I would look up what the complex looked like. I would see which fields we were playing at and look at what times that we were playing at them. And I would try to visualize where the sun would be during that game. If we knew the team that I was playing, I would look up their pitchers and I would try to see their faces throwing pitches at me. I would visualize batters wearing their uniform hitting ground balls at me. So by the time we got to the game, I had already ran through every scenario in my head. So that made it a lot easier to focus on how I was presenting myself and holding myself. And it was hard not to be confident at that point because I'd already visualized every success that I could have in that game.
Did you have any doubts going into it or any feelings of I need to prove myself to this new team?
Well, definitely. Because like I said, I came in I got in by the hair of my chin. So much so that I missed like the first half week of class. And I didn't move into like a week into the semester. So obviously, I made a lot of noise coming in. Yeah, I got really in my head. I wanted to be able to show the same performance that I had at Chadron for coach, because she tried so hard to get me here. I knew that the girls had known what I accomplished, what numbers I kind of put up my freshman year. And, I thought that they were expecting me of that. And it was really bothering me for a really long time. And one night I just remember I called the Chadron State coach, which sounds a little goofy. And I was like, if you don't want to talk about this, that's okay. But I really needed to talk to her because even though it didn't work out at Chadron and it didn't end up being the place that I needed to be, I had never met a more like-minded individual. And she's pointed out that like all that pressure that I was putting that I was feeling was all put on myself. And she reminded me that, you know, I'm playing in a time that I never thought I'd have. You know, I never envisioned myself being able to come back and play in the game, and it really helped me relax and just kind of, I'm just taking every day as a gift at this point. You know what I mean? I have a great time at practice, and I have even more fun playing games. And she's reminded me to stay focused on how grateful I am for every single moment that I get. And if you're busy feeling grateful, it's really hard to feel nervous.
That's a great quote right there. That's awesome.
Whether, you know, it's an umpire for your Wednesday night league game, you know, if the coach calls timeout, they're out there talking to the pitcher, you're playing second base, you turn around, there's an umpire right there. You say something funny about the weather, they don't respond, who cares? No skin off your back. If they do, most likely you have your name on the back of your jersey. And those little connections that you can just pick up everywhere you go can be super, super helpful. I would just say take as much advantage of that as you possibly can, partially because you don't know what that umpire does for a living. That could really help you out long term. You know, I didn't realize how powerful writing I'm on like a college softball team is on a resume, because that kind of leads me into the second point, just like taking every life skill that softball can give you, because obviously, what is it, like not even 1% of softball players are going to end up playing pro and making a living out of it, which is sad, but it's just the truth at this point. So you got to think about, you know, your life long term, and just taking every life skill, you know, the teamwork, the hard work, just taking all of those individual life skills and just appreciating them in the moment, and realizing that your coach telling you to run, you know, 10 wind sprints isn't always just because you need to run. You know what I mean? And just being able to see the deeper meaning and what your coaches are trying to give you other than just being a good softball player. Mm-hmm. Definitely. I think that helps individuals out so much down the line. It's definitely helped me.